We live in an era of ultimate physical comfort. Yet, our minds are silently collapsing. Jesus Christ left us a 7-rule psychological blueprint, and 99% of people completely ignore it. You are watching this right now because you are exhausted. You have the smart devices, the delivery apps, the endless entertainment. But when the screen goes dark at 2 a.m., the silence in your room is deafening. Modern society is quietly desperate. Financial panic, fractured marriages, a constant, heavy dread sitting on your chest. We search for life hacks and secular therapists, but they cannot fix a fracture of the soul. Over 2,000 years ago, the ultimate architect of human psychology delivered a masterclass. The Sermon on the Mount wasn't just ancient poetry. It was a battle-tested survival manual. The Bible is not a fairy tale for the naive. It is a structural engineering guide for the human spirit. Today, we will unpack 7 precise rules. These rules are designed to forge an unbreakable mind, but this requires total vulnerability. What exact trial is suffocating you right now? Tell me in the comments. You must name the giant before you can slay it. You cannot fix your walls if you lie about the cracks. Later, I will reveal why the 7th rule violates every human survival instinct. But first, we must build a solid foundation. Rule 1. The anchor in the storm. The floor of your life will eventually drop, and there will be no warning siren. It arrives on a normal Tuesday, a devastating phone call from a doctor, a sudden corporate layoff, the realization that someone you trusted walked out the door. The skies darken in an instant. Jesus addressed this exact reality in Matthew 7. He told the parable of the 2 builders. One built his house on solid rock, the other built on shifting sand. Today, that sand looks incredibly glamorous. We build our identities on social media validation, on volatile bank accounts, on the fragile approval of others. It feels completely stable in the sunshine. But Jesus warned us, the rain will fall, the floods will rise, the winds will violently strike. If your identity is tied to things you can lose, your peace is at the mercy of the storm. A life built on worldly success has 0 structural integrity. When true tragedy hits, the collapse is absolute. Building on the rock is different. It anchors your worth to the unchanging word of Jesus Christ. Your core remains untouched, even under heavy fire. Be ruthlessly honest right now. What sand are you building your empire on? If you lost everything tomorrow, what would be left of your sanity? The rock saves you from the sudden crash, but it won't protect you from tomorrow's silent killer. Rule 2. The anesthetic of tomorrow. Anxiety is our invisible plague, and you are likely infected. It is a thief that robs you in broad daylight. You know the exact feeling. Staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., running high-definition simulations of absolute disasters that haven't even happened. You imagine financial ruin, medical emergencies, social humiliation. This isn't just exhausting. It is an arrogant attempt to control the uncontrollable. Jesus addressed this paralyzing loop directly in Matthew 6. His command was brilliantly simple, yet it is excruciating for the modern ego to accept. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. This isn't a cute bumper sticker. It is the spiritual physics of daily grace. Think of the Israelites gathering manna in the wilderness. God provided exactly enough food for one day. If they hoarded it, it rotted. Grace operates on the exact same 24-hour cycle. The Holy Spirit gives you the precise strength to survive today. When you agonize over next month, you are fighting a future war. But you lack the future grace to win it. You are borrowing tomorrow's grief. You are paying interest on a debt you may never owe. It drains today of its strength. It leaves you completely paralyzed. God is asking you to drop the phantom weights of the future. Breathe in the grace designed exclusively for today. But dropping this burden is impossible if your brain is constantly plugged into the noise of today. Rule 3. The weapon of solitude. Your smartphone is drowning out the voice of God. You live in a relentless matrix, constant demands, buzzing notifications, endless expectations. From morning to night, your mind is in a digital hurricane. Because of this, you are spiritually suffocating. You are running on emotional fumes. You give pieces of yourself to your job, your family, your feeds. Soon, there is absolutely nothing left in the tank. Modern society views this exhaustion as a badge of honor. This is a fatal error. Look at the life of Jesus Christ. He shattered our obsession with constant availability. Luke 5:16 reveals a profound tactical secret. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. Notice the wording. He did not withdraw in defeat. He withdrew to prepare. He stepped away from the desperate crowds and human noise. Jesus understood a crucial truth. Stepping into the desolate places wasn't isolation. It was a tactical reload for the soul. The Son of God possessed infinite power. Yet, he required absolute silence to synchronize with the Father. How arrogant are we to believe we can survive without doing the same? We treat silence like a symptom of depression. We avoid quiet rooms. Why? Because the quiet forces us to hear our own racing thoughts. Shift your perspective immediately. Silence is not empty. It is a loaded weapon. It is the exact environment where the Holy Spirit downloads strategy, resilience, peace. You must unplug from the matrix to plug into the divine frequency. But all the silence in the world cannot heal a mind secretly drinking poison. Rule 4. The antitoxin of betrayal. Revenge is a psychological trap. Forgiveness is your only escape hatch. Right now, someone has likely wounded you deeply. They betrayed your trust. They shattered a vow. They walked away when you needed them most. The psychological toll is heavy, cold, and real. I am not here to tell you it was acceptable. I am not offering a cheap greeting card about letting go. Your pain is a legitimate injury. But human trauma carries a terrifying nuance. Holding on to that anger feels incredibly satisfying. It feels like justice. You replay the argument. You dream of their downfall. You grip that resentment like a shield. This is the spiritual physics of a hardened heart. Holding a grudge is drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. In Matthew 18, Peter asked Jesus how many times to forgive. Peter thought 7 times was generous. Jesus shattered that limit. 77 times. Jesus was not commanding Peter to be a victim. He was offering the ultimate antitoxin. Forgiveness is not a warm, fuzzy feeling. It is a raw, aggressive power move. It is a unilateral declaration of independence. On the cross, Jesus was bleeding and suffocating. Yet he said, "Father, forgive them." That was the ultimate severance of the chain. When you refuse to forgive, you remain handcuffed to your abuser. You give them free rent inside your mind. Pause and answer this in the comments. Who are you terrified God is asking you to forgive today? Severing that toxic chain sets you free. But freedom does not mean you escape the fire. Rule 5. The redefinition of pain. God did not abandon you in the fire. He is the master blacksmith holding the thermometer. This is the hardest pill for any Christian to swallow. When tragedy strikes, when the diagnosis is confirmed, when the bank account hits 0, our human reaction is to look up and scream, "Where are you?" We equate pain with divine absence. We assume God must be angry, or worse, completely indifferent. This requires a radical redefinition of your trial. In Luke 9:23, Jesus laid down a brutal reality. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily. Today, we wear crosses as gold jewelry. In the first century, it meant public execution. Jesus didn't promise a comfortable life. He guaranteed a process of deep, painful transformation. But here is the critical shift. Jesus turned the cross from a symbol of defeat into an emblem of victory. The crushing weight you feel right now is not random punishment. It is intentional, divine preparation. Think of a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal is thrust into blinding heat. It is struck violently with a heavy hammer. To the metal, it feels like absolute destruction. But the blacksmith isn't destroying the steel. He is burning away impurities. He is creating a weapon that will not shatter. You are begging God to take away the very hammer He is using to forge your armor. God allows the fire because He values your eternal character more than your temporary comfort. But the fire will completely consume you if you keep fighting the flames. Rule 6. The paradox of surrender. The secular world screams, hustle and manifest. Jesus Christ whispers, die to yourself. We are deeply infected by the theology of self-reliance. Podcasts, seminars, and feeds sell the exact same exhausting lie. You are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your soul. They tell you to grind harder, wake up earlier, manifest your desires. They claim you can bend the universe to your will. This creates a terrifying illusion of control. And it causes the massive wave of chronic burnout sweeping our generation. You are exhausted because you are playing God. You are trying to micromanage variables you were never meant to hold. Jesus addresses this catastrophic error in Matthew 16:25. It is a profound psychological paradox. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. This is the brutal antithesis of modern hustle culture. Jesus doesn't want a small percentage of your schedule. He demands absolute surrender. He requires you to let go of the steering wheel. This violates every biological survival instinct you possess. It feels like stepping off a cliff in pitch darkness. But the kingdom of heaven operates on an inverted metric. The way up is down. The way to conquer is to submit. Unstoppable power is only unlocked through absolute surrender to the Father. Stop trying to manipulate your circumstances. Start trusting the architect who designed them. Your exhaustion isn't from the trial. It is from wrestling God for the wheel. Once you finally let go, you realize a shocking truth. The ultimate outcome of your life is already secured. Rule 7. The victor's guarantee. The brutal war you are fighting right now was already decisively won. This is the absolute climax of Christ's rules. When you are in a severe battle, your vision narrows. You only see immediate threats. You feel the visceral sting of betrayal. You hear the deafening roar of financial collapse. The enemy wants you to believe the outcome is undecided. He desperately wants you living in panicked defense. This is a profound theological lie. In John 16:33, Jesus delivers an unbreakable guarantee. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. Notice the tense he uses. He does not say he might overcome it. He declares it as a completed historical fact. It is already finished. Jesus did not offer a storm-free life. He engineered a storm-proof soul. The waves will absolutely crash against your hull. The winds will howl fiercely in the night. But your vessel cannot sink. The King of Kings commands the water beneath you. The psychological relief of this is staggering. You no longer have to fight out of desperate panic. The immense pressure is lifted. The debt is paid. The chains are shattered. The grave is conquered. You are fighting from victory, not for it. But memorizing these 7 rules is mathematically useless if you lack the engine to run them. Part 8. The Illusion of Independence. Treating the Bible like a self-help checklist will leave you bankrupt. We live in an era that wants the benefits of Christianity without Christ. People want peace, resilience, and purpose, so they extract the moral teachings of Jesus. They apply them through sheer human effort. They view these rules as productivity hacks, as morning routines, as trendy mindfulness exercises. This is a catastrophic miscalculation. When true darkness falls, secular coping mechanisms violently collapse. Therapy without theology, deep breathing without the Holy Spirit, meditation without the mediator. These are temporary bandages on a fatal bleed. They offer momentary distraction, but they eventually run dry. Human willpower is structurally insufficient to sustain the rules of Christ. The Apostle Paul understood this desperate limitation. In 2 Corinthians 12, he wrote about a tormenting thorn in his flesh. He repeatedly begged God to instantly remove it. God's response was chilling to the ego, yet comforting to the soul. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. God actively allowed Paul to reach the absolute end of his human capacity. Why? Because you cannot experience supernatural strength until natural strength is exhausted. If you believe you can forgive enemies, calm anxiety, and surrender purely through discipline, you are operating in the flesh. You are driving a supernatural vehicle with a broken human engine. To survive the coming storm, you need a divine power source, and it operates under a very specific, terrifyingly powerful name. Part 9. The Divine Fuel. The Holy Spirit is not a theological metaphor. He is the active, breathing power source of the universe, and He currently dwells inside your chest. Modern Christianity has tragically sanitized this awe-inspiring truth. We treat the Holy Spirit as a quiet, abstract concept. We discuss Him strictly in dry Sunday schools. We forget He is the raw, explosive power that sustains our daily survival. Read the historical accounts of Pentecost. You do not see a polite, organized gathering. You see a violent, rushing wind, literal tongues of fire, a massive injection of divine courage into previously terrified men. This is not ancient history meant for a museum. The Holy Spirit is the ultimate comforter, the fierce advocate, the supreme executor of God's will right this second. This completely changes how you use these 7 rules. You stand face to face with the person who destroyed your life. Your human flesh screams for vicious revenge, but the Holy Spirit intercepts that hatred and miraculously forgives through you. A medical diagnosis drops like a heavy anvil. Your mind violently spirals into panic, but the Holy Spirit physically anchors your chest. He manifests a peace that defies all human logic. It is a literal, divine transfer of energy. You are no longer relying on your own depleting battery. You are plugged directly into the infinite grid of heaven. The Creator did not just write a book and leave you alone in the dark. He tore the veil. He stepped out of eternity. He made His permanent residence inside your body. You carry the very breath that resurrected Jesus Christ, and this exact power was violently tested during the darkest night in history. Part 10. The Gethsemane Protocol. In the midnight hour, even the Son of God dropped to His knees. He begged for another way out. We often see Jesus through the lens of majesty. We see Him walking on water. We see Him commanding storms to cease. But to understand these rules, you must look at His darkest night. In the Garden of Gethsemane, The psychological warfare reached its limit. Jesus was entirely isolated. His closest friends fell asleep. The suffocating weight of every human sin was placed on his shoulders. The internal pressure was violent. His sweat became like drops of blood. He experienced the maximum limit of human terror. In that agonizing silence, he prayed for an alternate route. He asked if the bitter cup could pass. He did exactly what we do when a trial feels unendurable. No, heaven was quiet. The cup was not removed. The betrayal was not canceled. This is where the ultimate pivot of history occurred. Jesus did not rely on positive thinking. He did not try to manifest a different reality. True victory isn't when God magically fixes your problem. It is submitting to His will when the heavens are dead silent. Jesus uttered the most powerful phrase in the spiritual realm. "Not my will, but yours be done." He embraced the fire. He accepted the pain because he trusted the architect's plan. He applied the rule of surrender flawlessly. He stepped out of the illusion of control and into his eternal purpose. That same world-conquering victory is waiting for you right now. Part 11. The Bookend Execution. You are not a helpless victim of your circumstances. You are a blood-bought, fully armed child of God. The secular world wants you weak and terrified. It wants you distracted by chaotic noise. It wants you medicated by temporary pleasures and paralyzed by fear. The 7 rules of Jesus Christ shatter that worldly matrix. These are not mere self-improvement suggestions. They are high-caliber weapons of spiritual warfare. Building on the rock. Weaponizing your solitude. Severing the chains of unforgiveness. Surrendering the steering wheel. These tools were forged explicitly for your current battle. You possess divine fuel. The Holy Spirit dwells inside your chest. He is waiting for you to stop fighting in the weakness of your own flesh. Look at your broken marriage through these rules. Look at your collapsing finances or your medical diagnosis. The paradigm shifts. The trial is no longer a tragedy meant to destroy you. It is a divine forge. It is designed to transform you into an unbreakable instrument of the kingdom. You don't have to wonder if you will survive this season. The war was decisively won on a wooden cross 2,000 years ago. The empty tomb is your historical guarantee of victory. You are a citizen of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Rise up from your defeat. Strap on the full armor of God. The lions are waiting in the arena. But so is your deliverance. Stop begging for a lighter load. Step into the fire with absolute certainty. The flames will not consume you. They will only burn your chains.